Hey, it's Crypto Bobby, and today I want to talk to you specifically about the Bitcoin futures and how that is really something that you should start to take a deeper look into, whether you hold Bitcoin or some of the other cryptocurrency in the space, because a lot of the other cryptos tend to, in many cases, be correlated to Bitcoin, as the entire asset class might move up or move down. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and also want to talk about some of the other cryptocurrencies that have recently been crushing it, specifically Iota, up in the past month about 600%, as well as Salt having a really nice run as well. So getting into the discussion, the big news in a lot of respects about the Bitcoin futures was the CME Group launching Bitcoin futures, which are set to take place December 18th. So December 18th is supposed to be the day in which the CME Group futures or CME Group is launching their Bitcoin futures. However, on the other end of the spectrum, CBOE, which is another company, another organization that offers futures, is launching their Bitcoin futures trading actually a week prior on December 10th. And there have been a couple interesting discussions about what this means for Bitcoin, what this means for cryptocurrency, and whether it might be positive or negative overall for the space, as well as for the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And I'll link to both articles below here. This one is from CoinDesk about the CBOE futures launching on December 10th. Like I said, about 8 days prior to the CME Group futures, who are going to be launched on December 18th. But CME Group is a little bit larger than the CBOE, but still notable that it's going to be going down on December 10th and December 18th as well. The one thing that a lot of people are saying is, the opportunity to buy Bitcoin futures without having to own Bitcoin is potentially very good for institutional investors, because they can invest or make plays on Bitcoin, make trades on Bitcoin without having to own private keys, worry about the custodianship of Bitcoin, worry about the security of Bitcoin, of their own Bitcoin, worry about all that type of thing. On the other end of the spectrum, though, not only with futures can an institutional investor, can a large bank, can a hedge fund, not only can they go long on Bitcoin, though, they can go short on Bitcoin. And apparently, one of the interesting articles that came out today in Bloomberg Technology, hedge funds are preparing to trade against Bitcoin. So apparently, and who knows if this is true or not, but many investors, many traders out there are getting ready to really make big plays to go short on Bitcoin, to drive the price down in Bitcoin. And some have called it some of the greatest short opportunities that they've seen in quite some time. So they're looking at that and saying that overall, the opening up of the ability to go short on Bitcoin through the futures is going to be something that a lot of hedge funds are going to take advantage of. And while they previously stayed on the sidelines, they're getting ready to make a big move into the space on the CME Group futures, and how this is something that they're really going to make a big play into. You can see here, Lou Kerner, a partner at Flight VC, says that this is one of the greatest shorting opportunities ever. So we'll see if he puts the money where his mouth is, but saying that there's a lot of zealotry, a lot of people who think this is going to be the greatest thing ever, but there's also a lot of people that think it's a bubble and a Ponzi. Both of them can't be right. So the thing that I'm looking at is there are numerous people out there that have said, Bitcoin is a scam, Bitcoin is a fraud, cryptocurrencies are a scam, they're frauds, they're fake. They now have, outside of some smaller exchanges, outside of smaller exchanges like BitMEX and Bitfinex, where, you typically need to own some level of cryptocurrency to make shorts, now you can short without having to own Bitcoin. You can short basically with utilizing the US dollar or whatever, the local fiat might be. So you can short using dollars against Bitcoin. How will that affect How will that potentially affect the price of Bitcoin? How will that affect the other price of cryptocurrency? Or on the other end of the spectrum, are there really that many institutional investors? Are there that many big traders out there that are ready to jump into the space and go long on this stuff? It's going to be, quite frankly, I don't know one way or another. I mean, this could be something that, this could be a little bit of an article that's maybe trying to drive the price down a bit to have the opportunity to buy in lower, or this could be true and there are a ton of people that really think this stuff is a fraud that are ready to jump in on the sidelines and make a big play to short Bitcoin because they think that it's completely overbought, they think it's completely overvalued and serves no useful value there. So definitely something you want to keep an eye on, because I think this is going to be, like I said, it's going to be really fascinating to watch. Obviously, if you're in on Bitcoin, if you're in on the space, you're hoping that the shorts don't outweigh the bulls here in this scenario, but that might not be the case. So we'll have to see how this ends up panning out. Interestingly enough, too, if you pop over to, I posted this on Twitter, I will link to this article below as well. But Bloomberg is, I think, doing a pretty nice job with the coverage of Bitcoin personally and of cryptocurrencies. And they have this pretty interesting little feature. I like the interface that they put forward here, but basically this is a combination of the who's who, the Bitcoin bulls, the Bitcoin bears, and going over specific quotes of why somebody's a Bitcoin bull, why somebody's a Bitcoin bear. And I would highly recommend taking a look at this. There are people like the Jeff Curry at Goldman Sachs seeing that the global head of their commodities saying positive things. You can see the people in green are bulls, the people in red are bears. You have Joseph Stiglitz, who is one of the recent ones who came out and basically called Bitcoin a scam. This is only going to be successful because there's a lack of government invention, and it should be outlawed, it should be banned, blah, blah, blah. Really interesting to take a look at and see the varying opinions of, again, the red is the bears and people who think that Bitcoin is a scam. The green are people that either have said positive things about it, or I would say probably middling things. Like Lloyd Blankfein, the CEO of Goldman, says, I don't have an investment in it, but I'm not going to shut it down and to make some really negative statements, and he's open to it. And to be honest, I know a lot of people have negative feelings in a lot of respects about Goldman and their involvement in the financial world, but this type of statement is, I think, a lot better than the people that don't take the time to do the research, quite frankly. Lloyd Blankfein at least admits that he is open to it, and he's not saying, hey, I'm not buying it. I'm not running out to go buy Bitcoin, but I'm also not going to sit here and say that it's a fraud and a scam, and I'm not going to just kind of pull a Jamie Dimon and say that I would never invest in it and I would fire anybody who touches it. He says he's open to it, and that's in a lot of cases the openness is really all you can ask for, especially from a person at that level and of that stature. So I think that it's a really interesting thing to check out, and it might go to give some indication, and obviously these aren't all people, some of these are economists. I don't think an economist is going to buy Bitcoin short futures contracts, but on some cases these are people that are in a level of power and might have that opportunity to, or might be running a company that could be shorting Bitcoin. And that could be, who knows? Maybe that's coming from the top. Maybe that's not. But it's really something interesting to check out and something interesting to see. Who is positive, who's pro Bitcoin, who's negative on Bitcoin, who the bulls are, who the bears are, and as you compare that to the possibility of some of these large institutional investors that are now going to be able to both go long and go short, and we'll see if the overall positivity behind Bitcoin, if the momentum that it's had in the past couple months is enough to sustain a continued movement upwards, or if there really are that many bears out there that just think Bitcoin is a complete crock and that they're ready to put their money where their mouth is and short this stuff because they now have the opportunity to do so directly without having to own Bitcoin at all. So this will be a very interesting time. I anticipate some pretty significant volatility over the coming month as these futures are opened up. So this will be fun to watch. Depending upon what side you're on, it could be a fantastic time, could be a terrible time, but I'm interested nonetheless. Now, outside of Bitcoin and the futures, I think that the run that some of these cryptocurrencies have had in the past couple of days has been nothing short of incredible, quite frankly. If we pull up the change on the change versus Bitcoin today, or the change versus the US dollar, really, but a good number of cryptocurrencies have had pretty positive days. About on-chain FX US dollar wise, about 40, close to 50 out of the 50, close to 50 out of the 57 have been positive on a US dollar perspective. Bitcoin up about 2.5% or so. But big cryptocurrency out there, Iota having a ridiculous run, up 54% on the day, 51% against Bitcoin, only 3% off its all-time high. Coin starting to show some life again, up another 26% against Bitcoin. Salt right now is up 20% against Bitcoin, only 1% off its all-time high, which it hit today. A number of cryptos that have done really, really well. Granted, you have to take it with a grain of salt depending upon how far down they are from their all-time high. Something like Steam having a fairly nice day, but still being down 2/3 from its all-time high. That happened close to 2 years ago at this point in time. And some other cryptocurrencies out there, BitShares having a nice day, but still, again, significantly off that all-time high. So something you have to keep in mind when you're looking at that and considering. But when you look at something like Iota, basically setting brand new all-time highs, up 50%, as well as Salt, pretty fascinating stuff, and even more interesting, I think, in a lot of respects. So I'll pull this up on the 1-month chart. But I posted this earlier today, and I just was interested to see how well Iota has done. And Iota is up about 600%. At one point in time, it was up about 650%, but about 600% right now over the month of, really over the past month, over the past 30, 35 days or so, or over the past 35 days. Pull this up right here, get the exact number for you guys. Over the past 35 days, or over the past 30 days, Iota's up about 630%, which is just mind-boggling. And as I posted that on Twitter, it was funny to see the amount of comments, quite frankly, that were, is now a good time to get in? Is now the time to hop in? And it's tough to say when is a good time to hop in, when is not a good time to hop in, but it's crazy how something being up 600% is the impetus for so many people, psychologically speaking, to say, wow, okay, that's up 600%. Now it's my time to hop in, where the time to hop in was obviously months ago after it had cooled down, it had settled down, and after it had dipped quite a bit. Buying when it's up 600%, could it still keep going up? Absolutely. Could it also dip? Correct. It could there as well. So I just think it's funny, psychologically speaking, when Iota goes up 600% and everybody's saying, oh, is now the time to hop in? Or even when Bitcoin hit $10,000. I can't tell you how many text messages and phone calls and emails and things like that I got from my friends and family that are like, wow, Bitcoin hit $10,000. I just opened up my CoinBase account. How do I do this thing? And that, like, the psychological numbers, nobody ever wants to buy when something is crashing and when there's panic in the streets and people are freaking out. People only, people just by nature want to buy when things are going down the crapper. So something to keep in mind. I don't know if Iota is going one way or another. If you've held on to Iota, congratulations, because that was a fantastic trade if you made that trade, or if you bought and hold as of now, incredible paper gains. But I still think it's pretty fascinating to see how human nature just says, when something goes up, I want to buy it, even though that's typically not the best time to buy it. But when something goes down, I don't want to touch it. I want to run away. I want to sell. I want to take my losses. I want to do all that stuff. So I think it's pretty fascinating. It's something that you want to maybe look at how you go about trading and investing to see how you might make those decisions. And if this is something psychologically that gets you going and say, oh my God, fear of missing out, this is going to keep going up and be the next Bitcoin. Or do you look at other opportunities over the past, let's say 3 months when Iota was not doing all that much, or we'll pull it up over the past year when Iota really wasn't crushing it after it had a pretty significant pullback. And is that something where you look at that back here and you saw it go down, you say, Iota's dead. Or you look at it now and say, this is the time to buy, this is what I'm going to buy. Really fascinating stuff. I think the Bitcoin futures that are coming up are going to be incredibly important, and the institutional money that is going to come in and go long in the space or potentially short might really dictate things over the month of December. Who knows? And that'll be mostly involving Bitcoin, obviously for the time being, but also watching how the rest of the crypto markets follow Bitcoin's movements up, down, sideways, whatever it might be. Definitely something, even if you don't own Bitcoin, if you're more of an altcoin person, if you're more of an Ethereum person, whatever it might be. Even if you don't own Bitcoin, I think that the Bitcoin futures will significantly affect the price of the other cryptocurrencies, either positively or negatively, so something to keep in mind there as well. Now, outside of that, folks, I do daily videos on the subject of cryptocurrency as well as YouTube live crypto happy hours. So if you are new to the channel by any chance, I would really love it if you would subscribe. Hit the little subscribe button and notify bell next to that. So the next time I do go live on YouTube, you get that notification. You can join for the entire time or just whenever you want to ask some questions. But I really do appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Good luck in the market, whether you're buying, trading, holding, selling, whatever you're doing. Hope you're making money. Peace.